Alrighty guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ricky, and today we're going to talk about some Charged with Light mods. And before we get started, I know they're not Warmind cells. Rest in peace. Rest in peace to the Ikelos SMG. Y'all will be missed. But anyway, back to Charged with Light mods. I really do think they're unbelievably useful mods in Destiny 2, especially in endgame content like the Grandmaster Nightfalls or the Master Vault of Glass as well. But anyway, I want to go over those guys today, so I'll go ahead and pull them up here on the screen. But the idea with these Charged with Light mods is there's three kind of categories that they fall into. So the very first one are any of the mods that you see on screen that are in green. Those guys are the very first kind of mod that you have to put on anytime you're trying to make a build with Charged with Light. So, for example, these mods that are in green, they'll help you become Charged with Light. So what that means is essentially you complete a specific task, and once that task is met with one of these mods on, you become Charged with Light ×1. And the idea is there's stacks to these. So normally speaking, without any particular mod that may help you increase your stack, your normal stack is up to 2. So you'd be Charged with Light ×2. And then with other mods that you can add as well that we'll touch base on here in a little bit, those guys can help you become Charged with Light ×5 at most. So the idea with these mods is, for example, let's take the very first one here on the screen, Taking Charge. That guy states that it becomes Charged with Light by picking up Orbs of Power. So when you have this mod on and someone uses their super, or you kill multiple combatants with a masterworked weapon, the idea is any time, for any reason, when you pick up an Orb of Power, you become Charged with Light. So when you complete that task, you get it 1 stack at first, and you can stack up to 2, potentially all the way up to 5. Once you are Charged with Light, you then have the next category, essentially, with these Charged with Light mods, which are any of the ones that are in yellow. And the idea with these mods is they're kind of like going to either consume 1 or all stacks of your Charged with Light in order to give you some sort of buff or benefit or perk, however you want to phrase it, whenever you're Charged with Light. So some of them might consume 1 stack per enemy, or for example, there's one that I particularly use that I'll go over here in a little bit that consumes all stacks. So however many you have at that time, once that particular mod triggers, it'll consume all those stacks entirely. And the idea with that is like the more stacks that you have, especially for the ones that consume all stacks, the longer that benefit or buff lasts, essentially. And then lastly, the final kind of category of mods here for Charged with Light, it's kind of like a miscellaneous tab in the sense of there's kind of 2 variations that they fall into with this last tier, or last category, is they're either going to help nearby allies become Charged with Light, or they'll help increase your stacks. Like I said, it could increase up to 5. So for example, this mod right here that's in white, this one doesn't help you become Charged with Light. It doesn't give you a task for that, nor does it consume your Charged with Light stacks. But in this case, the normal stack, like I said, is 2. This says it allows for 1 additional stack of Charged with Light, which means it'll give you up to Charged with Light ×3. So that'd be a benefit of one of those guys, for example. But yeah, just a quick recap. All the ones in green, they'll help you become Charged with Light, with stacks normally to 2, all the way up to 5. And then the yellow ones will help you either consume 1 or all stacks of your Charged with Light. The more stacks you have, and once it consumes all of them, the longer that benefit will last. And then lastly, there's like a handful of them that are Charged with Light mods that are white. Those ones are either going to help nearby allies become Charged with Light, or they'll help you increase your stacks. In this case, I gave you the example of Charged Up being one of those mods. But I want to go ahead and bring you over to my Titan, who looks freaking sweet, if you ask me. A little biased, But the Lasso Shader, I think, is insanely awesome looking on my Titan, and it took me forever to get, so shout out to you. Anyway, so with my build, the very first mod I have, it's on my helmet here. It's Taking Charge. And we talked about this one earlier. The idea is when you pick up an Orb of Power, you become charged with light. So, like I said, whether it's a super, multiple kills with a masterwork weapon, whatever it might be, you pick up that orb, you become charged with light times 1, potentially charged with light times 2 if I pick up multiple orbs. The very next one down here is on my gauntlets. This one's called Shield Break Charge. And to give you a little bit more detail behind this guy, besides just picking up the Orbs of Power, you'll also become charged with light by breaking a combatant shield with the matching energy type. So what does that mean? Let's say, for example, right now I have on the Truth Teller. I was playing some GMs with my boys last night. So in this case, Truth Teller is a void weapon. If I shoot this void weapon at a combatant that has a void shield, and it breaks that shield, I then become charged with light. Like I said, as long as the gun matches the enemy type shield, in this case it would have to be void, I will then become charged with light times 1. So right off the bat, Taking Charge and Shield Break Charge, they just give me two easy ways, honestly, to become charged with light right away and fairly often. How I help kind of benefit from that as well, besides just those two particular perks, is I also have on my legs Stacks on Stacks. This is one of those mods that I was saying was in the miscellaneous tab. This guy will help you increase your stacks, and what I mean by that is specifically it says gain an extra stack of Charge with Light for every stack you gain. So for example, if I pick up an Orb of Power, normally speaking it would just give me 1 Charge with Light stack, but with this particular mod, without the stutter, I would become Charged with Light times 2 just from 1 orb. So like the only downside to this, like it's very, very useful, but the catch to it, obviously, as it shows on here as well, is it does take an entire tier away of recovery. So it's -10 in recovery. To be honest with you, I think it's extremely useful and completely outweighs the -10 recovery. But that choice is up to you. I think it's well worth it. Anyway, whether it's picking up that orb or breaking that combatant shield, I will immediately have that double stack of Charge with Light, which makes it super easy for this very next one, which is where I consume all of my stacks whenever I am using them. And that guy's on my chest piece. It is called Protective Light. And to give you an idea, Protective Light states, while charged with light, you gain significant damage resistance against combatants when your shields are destroyed. This effect consumes all stacks of Charge with Light. The more stacks consumed, the longer the damage resist lasts. So, for example, if I'm only ×1 on my Charge with Light and my shield breaks, Protective Light kicks in, but it won't last nearly as long as if I had, for example, Stacks on Stacks, giving me an extra Charge with Light stack on there. If I'm ×2 with that, it'll last that much longer. And to be honest, the -10 strength debuff kind of doesn't bother me at all. Like, I really don't care for strength at all in any of my builds, so I think it's perfect for that, and I find it extremely valuable. So just a quick recap. The synergy between these guys is Taking Charge. I pick up an orb, I immediately get Charged with Light ×1. Or if I break a shield with a void, in this case weapon, I get Charged with Light ×1. And the kicker to either one of those is on my legs. That Stacks on Stacks help me go from 1 stack to ×2 with literally 1 time picking up an orb or 1 time breaking a combatant shield. It'll immediately max out my stacks for Charged with Light. And anytime, which is very rare, don't ask my friends, they'll tell you otherwise, anytime that my health or my shield breaks, Protective Light kicks in and helps with the damage resistance. And that'll last twice as long with that Charged with Light mod, Stacks on Stacks, because I'm always going to be Charged with Light ×2 whenever I have the option to be charged with light. So anyway, that is the video. I wanted to make it somewhat short, somewhat sweet compared to my other guys. But if you have any questions, comments, better ways of getting these charged with light builds out, let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching. And as always, have an awesome, awesome day. Thank you.